There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from. There is a fountain.
It's showing on your screen. Olufemi, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Are you ready for today's question?
Yes, I'm ready.
I have some question here for you. This one is from Lagos, Nigeria. Okay. It says, why is God not stopping my husband from cheating?
That's a fantastic question, and a lot of women have that question, and I believe men also have that question. I have prayed, I have sought the face of God, and my partner is still committing adultery. How can I stop them? Why is God not answering my prayer? I want us to know that God gave man something very important, and it is called will. It's our choice to decide to obey or decide not to obey. So for every day when we wake up, the mercies of God are available. But under these mercies are two conditions. And we can find that in Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 15. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 15, it says, I have placed before you today life and death. Let me read it for us from here. It says, see, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. So every human being, God set before them life and death, good and evil. You choose the one you want to do. Now, when you pray for your husband, or you pray for your wife who is doing something wrong, the Holy Spirit hears your prayer. God hears your prayer and goes to them and speaks to them that this thing that you are doing is not good. The more you pray, the more you send the angels to such a person to keep telling the person, this thing that you are doing is not good. They probably have killed their conscience and they are not ready to hear anything from God. But because you are constantly praying, the Holy Spirit keeps on your behalf going to create situations and circumstances to help them to stop what they are doing by constantly speaking to them. But because they are human beings, they can choose whether to obey God or not to obey God. So when they hear the voice, they have the choice to either choose to obey God and stop what they are doing and reconcile, or continue with the wrong that the devil is asking them to do. So this situation makes it their choice. God cannot force any man not to cheat on his wife. God cannot send the Akunan angels and hold him to ransom with AK-47 and say, from now on, you commit adultery again, we will gun you down. If God do that for husband A, then God must do it for husband B. Then God must do it for husband C. Then every husband cheating have no excuse to go to hell, because we can only blame God for not forcing them. And God is a just God. He's not going to force A to accept him and not force B. I want us to understand that the things that you face that make you run to God, another person faces that type of situation and runs to the devil. The circumstances of accidents, that somebody had an accident and almost died, and suddenly recognize that I need to go back to God. Another person had that accident and feels, oh, I can't die again, and continues in sin. It's the same situation. So God will put everybody in the same situation. As long as you are praying, God will put them in that situation where He can win them. But it's left to them at the end of the day to make a choice, either to serve God or to serve them. So also I want us to understand that when a man or a woman have decided in their hearts that they want to go to hellfire, unfortunately you will just be unequally yoked with a sinner. In that situation, you keep praying that God should save their soul. But God cannot force anybody's soul to be saved. So if you have decided that I am a candidate of hell, I'm going to hell, what you need to be doing in that house is to keep preaching God to that person and keep praying. God will not force anybody to heaven or to hell. Even those of us that are working for God, I will say that God held us. We had a choice. When God came for me, I had a choice to say I will serve God, or I will refuse and say I'm not doing. It's my choice. So all of us, at the end of the day, have a choice to either choose God or choose the devil. So You cannot hold God to ransom that your husband refused to change. It is not God that has refused to answer your prayer. It's the person you are praying for that has refused to heed the call of God. So, I believe that answers that question.
I have another question for you, which
Okay.
says, if God would force him, what should I do?
Okay. If God will not force your husband, your number one duty as a person is to ensure that you go to heaven. That's the most important thing for you. That you, as a person, go to heaven. And it's at this junction I would like to say that the joy of a married woman is not her husband. As long as the married woman or the married man is looking at his spouse that, oh, you need to come and do this and do this and do this to make me happy, you are putting your joy in the hand of the wrong person. Bible says, woe unto him that put his trust in man. So never look up to that partner, that person to be your joy. The first thing you are looking up is to God, the author and the finisher of our faith. So when you look up to God for your joy, for your salvation, you ensure that your own soul first is saved. And you take yourself to a place where that person's behavior, your spouse wrongdoing, does not push you to hell. Then after you have settled that, go on your knees continually and pray for that person just the way you are praying for all sinners. That the Holy Spirit will keep holding that person to ransom. One day it will probably yield to the voice of the Holy Spirit. Also, you can pray deliverance prayer for the person. The person might be under the attack of demons and they've held him bound and says you will not get out. He needs somebody else to pray for him, to deliver him. Many times when we are fighting with our spouse and saying it is you that has done wrong, it is you that is doing evil, I can see you. Many times it's not the man or the woman that is doing evil, there is a spirit behind it. And as long as you keep fighting the person and not the spirit, the solution do not come. And it looks as if God did not answer prayer. But the Bible says that God did not answer your prayer because you prayed amiss. You were praying concerning the person instead of praying concerning the demon. So what you are supposed to do is commit that person to God, commit the spirit to God, and speak against any power that is working against that person. Just continually seek God, move close to God, and don't stop praying. The Bible says that you pray without ceasing. So keep on praying. If God's help you, the man decides that, okay, I want to listen to God, he will stop the nonsense he's doing. But if he says no, he doesn't want to listen to God, he has a choice. But at the end of the day, ensure that your own soul first is saved, then you can save the other person. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. I have another one here which says, how do I stop the sorrow and the pain of my husband cheating me?
Okay, like I said previously, as a human being, when you see your spouse cheating on you, when you see your spouse misbehaving, it is painful. It is very painful. But it is only painful when you put so much hope on that person. If that person's total is your total hope, is your total joy, when my husband comes in, I am happy. When he goes out, I am sad. Then you have a big problem. Then the devil can easily manipulate that person to hurt you and to send you to hell, to make you angry, to make you painful. So the important thing you need to do is make God your joy. Tell everybody around you, you are no more the source of my happiness. You are no more the source of my joy. You are no more the source of my laughter. Jesus is the source of my laughter. So create a relationship with God. Wake up in the morning, go into a session of fellowship with God. In the afternoon, a session of fellowship. In the night, a session of fellowship. When you are cooking, know that you are cooking for your God. When you are dressing, know that I am dressed for my God. When you are eating, I'm eating for my God. Everything you are doing for God. God is an ever-present help in the time of trouble. He is always there. He is the only person that will not hurt you. He is the only person whose love will never leave you. Your partner can misbehave anytime. So the error we have made many times is we have believed that when I marry, my partner will make me happy. And it's wrong. Like I said in a place I preached on Saturday, I said, you are unhappy. You are waiting for your husband to make you happy. Your husband is unhappy. He's waiting for you to make him happy. Two unhappy people want to come together and make themselves happy. It's not possible. The happiness in the marriage is Jesus. So It is time to surrender to Jesus and give everything to Jesus. It will be difficult at the beginning, but you just have to look for Jesus. When you found the love of Jesus, the pain of what the man is doing will not pain you. The wrong thing your wife is doing will not touch you again. Because anytime he does wrong, the love of God will radiate and cover you, and your life will move forward. So you seek God, and you will not feel pain again. That's my answer.
Thank you, Brother Femi. I believe we have learned one or two things today again.